So I didn't see a big deal. I didn't see the need for a big deal to be made about the fact that a high school kid at a rainy, muddy track meet has a multi-tool. But then I would push back on Caucasian Nation, and I would say, wait a minute. You guys fight for the right to leave your house with a gun on your hip every day. Some of you guys got multiple guns in your car at all times. You never leave home without a gun on your hip. So if you
especially in
have to use that gun in self-defense, can somebody then claim that you woke up that morning with the intent to take a life just because you carried a gun on your hip?
Dr. Umar Johnson made an incredible point about the Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf case. He sat down with the Danza Project and discussed some things that maybe y'all need to hear. So let's get into it.
Sentence from where I stand begins with the fact that he should have never been indicted by the grand jury and charged with the great misfortune in the Karmelo Anthony verdict and sentence from where I stand begins with the fact that he should have never been indicted by the grand jury and charged with murder in the first place. I believe that he should have been exonerated on self-defense. I don't believe it should have ever went to a grand jury. And if they did feel that he was culpable in what happened, then why not go with a manslaughter? Why not go with an aggravated assault? And the reason, or aggravated manslaughter. And the reason I'm bringing that up is there was another case in Texas, not far from where Karmelo's case took place, involving a white student by the name of Kason Allison. Same state, same year. Both events took place, and Kason Allison invited a Latino kid into the school's bathroom for a fight, although he didn't let the Latino kid know that he would be armed with a knife. And so he meets him in the bathroom for a fight. He pulls out this knife and he stabs the kid intentionally 4 times. The child dies. And instead of being charged with murder, I believe he was charged with aggravated manslaughter. Given
what
10
state
years,
was this in?
He'll be home in 5 years.
What state was that in?
No. See, people get it. They're getting it twisted. He got charged with negligent homicide, which is up to 5 years. And they gave him 2 years. And people will be like, well, it's not the same jury. It's not the same circumstance. And Kason Allison poked that boy multiple times. He went in there with the intent to do ultimate damage when it's supposed to be in a fist fight. Now, couple that with Karmelo Anthony not knowing Austin Metcalf or Hunter Metcalf. Why isn't they highlighting the fact that Hunter Metcalf started this, and his brother met his demise because Hunter asked Karmelo Anthony to leave. All them boys got on that goddamn stand and lied on Karmelo Anthony. And I'm going to keep saying it. They don't want to be charged with Austin Metcalf death when we find out Karmelo Anthony actually was just protecting himself from multiple people.
Be home in 5 instead of 10, whereas Karmelo got 35. And according to Texas law, he will have to do half that time. So Karmelo would have to do 17.5 years. Wow. Since he was convicted of murder, he would have to do 17.5 before he could seek parole. Whereas Kason Allison stabbed the kid 4 times. Intentional murder. Other students even testified to the fact that he said he wanted to put that kid on life support, and yet he'll be home in 5. How do you get 5 versus 35?
And Matt, to answer your question, what he was saying, it was in the same state. This is in Texas, correct?
In the exact same state.
Both in Texas.
Both in Texas.
And both occurred the same year.
And what would you say differentiates both?
White privilege. I think in order to understand black justice in America or lack thereof, you have to understand Dred Scott. Everything goes back to Dred Scott versus Sanford, 1857. Dred Scott was an enslaved African who was taken by his slave master into a free state. He sued for his freedom, assuming that now I'm in a free state, I should be able to be free as according to the laws of the land. He sued into court, and Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Roger B. Taney, handed down the majority decision, and he basically said that black people were brought to America to be slaves, that we were considered inferior beings, and that the framers of the Constitution never intended us to be citizens of this country, and therefore we had no rights that white men were bound to respect. The Dred Scott case has never been officially overturned in American jurisprudence. They assume and they claim that the 14th Amendment, giving us equal protection under the law, automatically outlawed Dred Scott, but other legal scholars would argue that unless you definitively and directly outlaw the Dred Scott decision, the 14th Amendment, just by virtue of creation, does not automatically do away with it. So I would argue that whether or not Dred Scott is the law on paper, it is without question the law in practice. How under heaven can a black person anywhere in America be tried by an all-white jury and that not be considered a 14th Amendment violation? On top.
Now think of this though. We know that the jury wasn't all white. But if your ass ain't black, you white. A lot of these non-black people in some black coons got a Eurocentric mindset. So when people are saying it's an all-white jury, we're not talking about that race. We specifically talking about this particular prosecution, and judge allowed certain jurors because of their Eurocentric mindset. And then they had to put out the lie that they said a black juror said that they wouldn't prosecute a child because they're black. They been lying, dog. It's what they do. It's like some of y'all think the CWAs, the colonial white Americans, some of y'all think the CWAs are fair within their judgment, or fair within their laws when it comes to us. Now, when it's white on white crime, it's fair. When it's black on black crime, it's fair, but a little bit extensive. When a black person take another black person's life and they get caught, there's justice handed down to that black person, that suspect. When a white person take a white person's life, there's justice handed down to the victims. Unless it's Republican versus Democrat. Hey, make sure you get your black on black love t-shirts. The website should be pinned in the comments. You might see view products on the screen, or you can go to 95way.com. You wear this as a message, but you live it as a mindset.
On top of that, one question I would have for Karmelo's attorney, who I believe his name was Mike Howard, is why did you invite a fellow attorney to join the defense who had worked as a friend and colleague for the prosecutor? So Karmelo Anthony had a lawyer on his team who was friends and colleagues with the very person trying to put him in jail for the rest of his life. If that is not a conflict of interest, I don't know what is.
100%.
I gotta pay for my
100%, and the fact that there was zero representation was something that I didn't. This is a case that I didn't begin to start diving into until they were already inside of towards the tail end of it, and it started to make its ways all over my social media. And I feel that it should have had far more significant coverage than it did earlier on inside of the trial, because I feel that's something that people could have got behind, so that there was some form of representation inside of that. Now, I do want to go back though, Dr. Umar. You stated a little bit ago, so both of these situations happened inside of Texas, and you said, how does one get 5 years and one get 17? 100%, I agree. That to me is insane. However, I do want to ask you a question. Do you think that Karmelo should have got 5, or do you feel the other one should have got 17?
When I looked at the facts of the case, and I do want to say this because I have been asked this, particularly from members of Caucasian Nation who follow my work and inbox me on Instagram, and they say, if in fact you saw evidence personally, Dr. Umar, that would suggest Karmelo was guilty of intentionally taking the life of another child without it being an act of self-defense, and that child be white, could you say that a black person was wrong? I absolutely could.
Somebody just got in my comments because I had took up for Darlene, who's a Mexican woman, and gonna ask me, how am I taking up for a Mexican woman when I promote black on black love? Black on black love is not hatred. It's accountability. It's unity. It's respect. It's, bitch, we ain't playing about each other, but if you wrong, you are wrong. If there are some text messages from Carmelo Anthony in a group chat or Snapchat or saying, tomorrow I got something for Austin Metcalf, he's going to put the nigga in jail for premeditated murder. We don't see none of that. This is strangers. They boxed him in and tried to do whatever they wanted to do to him. And he got the upper hand. We not supporting black people when they dead wrong. And I keep saying this. The dude, the black man that took the life of the Ukrainian girl on the train is no excuse for that. Black on black love don't support that. Because black love unifies everybody. You know what I'm saying? Black love is fair. It's a mentality. It's just not a saying.
Absolutely. Okay. But I have no problem standing up for what's right, regardless of the color of the person. So this isn't a thing of, well, I know white people are going to rock with the whites, so I'm going to rock with the blacks. Of course, I'm 100% loyal to my race, but at the same time, I can recognize the unjustifiable behavior of taking a life unnecessarily. But I completely believe that Carmelo Anthony was innocent and should have been exonerated of all charges. First of all, those who saw the video, and I didn't get a chance to see it because, as you know, the video that the prosecutor put forth, I think it was 3 different videos shown in court, and every one was that grainy video that we all heard about where you really couldn't see too many details. However, the school, back when this happened, made a video possible for people to come and watch. You had to go online and register for it or come in physically to come and look at it. And a lot of people who saw that video, black and white people who saw that video, in fact, one of the persons who saw the video was an elderly Caucasian woman, and she said that Carmelo never stood up. He was seated the entire time. So how can I be the aggressor if I never leave my chair? And according to the narratives that I'm piecing together from different people, black and white, who saw a untainted version of the video, it appears that when Austin went to grab Carmelo, that he kind of fell on top of the knife. And that helps explain why the cut was only 2 inches, although the knife was 3.5 inches. And so a lot of people are claiming that he fell onto the blade and was able to pull himself off the blade. And that's why it only went 2 inches as opposed to 3.5 inches. And for all of those who are making so much noise about why did he have a knife, first of all, it was a multi-tool. I was in the boys.
They mad at Dr. Umar for saying that, but I said the exact same thing. I said, bro, maybe Austin Metcalf momentum did all the work, because when they testified, the I guess the mortician or whoever looked at the body said there was, well, when they received the knife, they said it was bone marrow on it. but they didn't have the knife in court. How the fuck did they test the knife for these particular things and they didn't have the knife in court? They showed a picture of the knife, but they said it had bone marrow on the knife. But I think Austin Metcalf weight did more of the damage than anything, because when they said it didn't go in directly. It wasn't a direct stab, which would I be arguing about attempt as well, right? On how it entered. It entered like sideways, right? It entered like, if we're looking at this, it entered like sideways. That's not nobody trying to do this. I don't see Karmelo. I don't see him intentionally stabbing Austin Metcalf. I believe Austin Metcalf may have felt like he had something in the bag, right? And rushed towards him. And Carmelo Anthony was intending to actually stab him. But Austin Metcalf got to him so quick, he was poked, but some of his body did goddamn more the damage, right? That's what I believe. I don't believe Carmelo Anthony was intended to take his life, but he probably was trying to scare him away. You know what I'm saying? Because Carmelo Anthony has never been in a fight. He was a small, fragile kid, and probably was scared that these two individuals was next to him. Because if we go watch the video, shout out to No Captivity with Freezy, he showed two different individuals hovering over Carmelo Anthony before a punch happened, and Carmelo Anthony getting up out of the goddamn tent, but going backwards, retreating backwards. So it was two times that Austin Metcalf could have retreated himself or go get a teacher, but he chose to do that, and he got his life taken. And mind you, Hunter Metcalf is the one that started all this shit.
Scouts, and in the Boy Scouts, you're normally required to carry a multi-tool. It's part of your training, your nature walks, learning how to start fires, fishing.
Carmelo
everything.
wasn't in the Boy Scouts,
There's nothing wrong with a high school child carrying a multi-tool. Yes, it has a knife on it, but it also has other things on it. Furthermore, if you've ever ran track, and I've ran track, although I wasn't very good at it, you normally carry some sort of a multi-tool to clean your cleats off. So there's always something that resembles a knife at a track meet. In fact, dozens of these instruments are at a track meet because you need them to clean off your cleats once you get a lot of mud and gook on there. And of course, it was a rainy day. So for those who are going to be involved in other types of track and field activities like the high jump and the javelin and all that kind of stuff, you're really going to get some muddy cleats that you're going to have to clean them off. So I didn't see a big deal. I didn't see the need for a big deal to be made about the fact that a high school kid at a rainy, muddy track meet has a multi-tool. But then I would push back on Caucasian Nation and I would say, wait a minute. You guys fight for the right to leave your house with a gun on your hip every day. Some of you guys got multiple guns in your car at all times. You never leave home without a gun on your hip. So if you
especially in Texas,
have to use that gun in self-defense, can somebody then claim that you woke up that morning with the intent to take a life just because you carried a gun on your hip? So I thought that was so disingenuous for people to insinuate that the fact Carmelo Anthony had a multi-tool meant that he woke up that morning, left his house to go to the track meet with the intent to take a life, as if he had a crystal ball in his pocket that somehow told him that after his friend Eddie Para, his girlfriend's cousin, invited him to be under the tent. After Eddie invited him under the tent, he had a crystal ball that somehow told him that once you sit down, these two big twin brothers who are linebackers are going to come and try to start a fight with you. How in heaven would Carmelo know that two guys were going to come and try to start a fight with him? So I just thought.
That's the point. They don't want to believe that this black kid protected himself. They lost one of theirs. They in control politically. They in control when it comes to the courtroom. They trialed him. You know what I'm saying? And they got what they want. They're not going to believe a black person was protecting themselves from a white person who was right. They argue was, well, why did he have a knife? Well, why was he under the tent? Once you start to figure out he had a friend under the tent, they still argue, well, why he just didn't leave? Why the fuck Austin Metcalf didn't keep his bitch ass hands to himself? Why did the hunter start the altercation? They don't want to answer that. Man, shout out to y'all. Let me know what y'all think about this. And don't forget, these hoodies not available. They will be available. If you waiting on the hoodies, you can go on my website, 95weight.com, put in your email. When this drop or something new drop, I'll send an email out. I'm not about to bombard y'all with emails or anything like that, but where we at? These are available. Hold on. These are available on the goddamn store, and the comment will be pinned in the description. Appreciate y'all.